where to begin? Where to begin? So you can't really exist in a world right now without hearing about Sarah J. Maas and ACOTAR. It's what all the girlies are talking about, what all the men are complaining about. Just hearing through the grapevine, okay, about these books, I was hesitant from the beginning, okay, to even attempt to read them. I automatically kind of already knew, you know, I'm like, yeah, this is probably not gonna be for me. Newsflash, I was right. But I have a lot of thoughts, okay? And today I want to talk about why I think these books are just so terrible and why I hated them. About 5 different reasons. Yeah, let's get started. Disclaimer, because I feel like it's necessary. This author has been in quite a lot of controversy about some previous comments she has made about the IDF. If you need more context on that, feel free to look it up. Also, using the death of Breonna Taylor to promote one of her releases of the ACOTAR series, which was very controversial. And also even plagiarism allegations, which I have recently become aware of. And I don't know all the context as far as all of these situations, and I haven't done all the research, but based off of what I do know, and her lack of addressing all these things tells me just about all I need to know. No, I don't want to encourage anybody who watches me to support this author. I would encourage you to consider reading other romantic and fantasy books, particularly ones by diverse authors. Favorites is the Legendborn series. If you want fantasy, that's an amazing series that does not have a problematic author. So, just a little tidbit there before we move on. Number 1 issues that I freaking hated in this book was the Skinnyganda. For context, I've read the first and the second. My sister let me borrow them. I only have the second one right now, just physically. First book and second book, but more strongly in the first book because, you know, they're setting up everything. Talk of her being so frail and so skinny really was very, very, very annoying. And I know this is a very common trope in the romantic genre, particularly like this small frail girl. In the beginning of the first book, it tries to establish, it basically beats you over the head that this is a girl that's 90 pounds wet, okay? Wet, she's barely 90 pounds. But even though she's so frail and so pitiful, she's still a baddie though. And she hunts completely alone and is somehow able to carry a giant wolf being all alone.
She was absurdly petite, so petite that her bones could hardly hold her up. But she regularly killed grizzly bears to feed her family.
This wolf being that she ends up killing actually is a fae. And the fae in these stories are not fairies, and part of what made me disappointed in the series from the beginning was that I figured out eventually that this fairy thing, they were not like pixie fairies. Like I thought they were like pixie hollow fairies, because that's what I think of when I think of fairies. But no, these are like weird shape-shifting, just random power fairies. They're basically glorified humans with pointy ears and just some generic magical powers, which was really disappointing from the beginning, and that already put me in a really bad mood about this book. Not only does it want you to know very obviously that she's such a small girl, also she's the only one worth a shit in her family. All the rest of her family sucks, okay? And that is something like it really, really, really wants you to know. And I'll be honest, this hit me immediately as Maas is absolutely incapable of just writing multiple like complex characters at once without setting them next to a sucky one. And that's like a consistent thing. Like she has to, for her to have her like good character, she has to sit them next to somebody who absolutely sucks. And she does this so much. And with Farah, it was with her family. Like her family's just so lazy. Her 2 sisters are no good. Her 90-pound self is the only one that does anything. And her dad is disabled. Ew. Like, even though he was disabled by being mauled, okay, that's still not a good enough excuse for Farah. He's still a piece of shit too. Like, and you're hearing this all from her perspective. Like, she looks down on her father, she looks down on her sisters, and it really gives this vibe of like, I'm a thin, not like other girls girl, you know, and I'm not like my sisters and my disabled father, and thin pretty girls, you know, we're really the good ones. That's what it gave.
Me, a dragon rider, but I'm just an 18-year-old human girl with the tiniest waist and a fat rack. All I know is archery and being poor. Not ready for this. Am I? Holy gods. So this is your house. The fairy world is not really what I expected. Neither are you. 6'8" fae male with golden skin and purple eyes that sparkle like stars.
I'm skinny and good and righteous and everyone else sucks. You know, like by the time you got to this giant book, you know, maybe that would have stopped or she would have developed some, but no, it only gets worse. With the Skinnyganda, one of the first times it ever introduced, and I'm pretty sure the only character I've read so far, is fat in any way. They are a servant. Yeah, the only fat character, at least that I remember from the books. She describes one of the servants as rotund, which is basically just another word for fat. Love that. So most people, when I tell them that the whole Skinnyganda bothered me about Fiera, they're like, oh, but she's starving. The whole point is that they didn't have any food and they were in poverty. I get that. And you think that would have made me upset. Like, you think that would have bothered me. But I'm going to be honest, she was so insufferable and so unlikable. Literally, I could have cared less. I could have cared less. Because she had such a sour attitude and was just so unlikable, it made me really difficult to like sympathize with her for being hungry, which is crazy. Okay, crazy. Number 2 is Fiera's Misery Olympics. Okay, so let's talk about this. SJM really made it a point with this character to make you want to root for Fairy. Now, she ultimately failed with me because of everything I already just said. My problem. This girl was so obsessed with being miserable to a point it made me miserable. She claimed constantly how having to feel that she had this burden of taking care of her family because they all sucked and wouldn't do anything and she was the only one that could hunt, you know, her 90-pound self. Such a burden. She never lived her life and she was constantly whining and complaining about it. That's all you heard at the beginning. Okay, but then later in the book, as she like literally gets into an environment where it's rich and elitist and she has access to all the best food and all the luxuries of life with Tamlin later on, she's still not happy. And that's something you're going to see all the way in the book too. Fiera's just never happy. There's no pleasing her.
I was kidnapped and sentenced to a fate worse than death. To live in a palace with the hot mayor of Goblin Town.
No, please, take me back to poverty.
Her life, yes, some of it was not controllable, but a lot of the events that happen in these books are in her control, but yet she chooses to just be miserable all the freaking time. Like, it's just so annoying. When you read it, she actually really, like, this character gets off on being miserable. Like, she's never happy and just being content, and actually she looks down on people. Desperately looks down on people who are just happy with contentment. Okay, because that's not like other girls enough. Okay, she has to be not like other girls. That is the pinnacle of these books. You have to understand. First book, when Tamlin takes her, okay, and she ends up in the spring court, and again, surrounded by all these luxuries, you think, you know, someone like her would really appreciate such things. But no. She puts up really unnecessary fights and makes life unnecessarily difficult for no freaking reason. Gets herself almost killed for no freaking reason all the time. She's finally given this freedom, you know, that she so desperately told you at the beginning that she wanted so much. But see, that's not miserable enough for her. She has to continually try to make herself more miserable just for a plot, I guess is why SJM done that. Misery Olympics, I could not with the Misery Olympics. It bothered me so badly. And it's all so fake. She tries to pretend that like, oh, I care about my family and I'm worried about my family, like when she gets taken and they're left, you know, and she eventually finds out that like, oh, Tamlin literally gave them this luxurious life and they didn't need her anymore, and he took care of them since he knew that they were desperate. He extended kindness to them, had them set for life now. Okay, you think that would make her happy, since apparently she was so concerned about her family that she was just telling you chapters before she hated. No, actually that's still not good enough. And she still constantly put up a fight about wanting to go back or wanting to do something else. Like, it's literally never enough for her. Literally never. It even goes on into book 2. At the beginning, she's about to get married to Tamlin. Now, yes, do I understand that Tamlin ends up becoming an annoying and overbearing character? Yes. So Tamlin is miserable. Wow, Farrah almost beats him. I'm just going to be completely honest. It's just dead set on not being happy with any good that happens to her. Because at the beginning, there's like this whole wedding setup. She doesn't want to plan it, you know, because she's too much not like other girls. So she don't care about weddings. And fluffy dresses, ew. You know, big floofy dresses are disgusting and so ugly. And she would never wear a dress because Oh, God forbid, right? And tell me exactly what that is. Who is that? You know who it is. That's Bella. It is so much like the Bella stereotype. It's crazy. Like, it's almost plagiarism. Like, the plagiarism allegations, I get it. Even the wedding scene where she's walking down the aisle and seeing blood, like, tell me that's not... That's Bella. Bella literally does the exact same thing. The exact same thing. But Bella didn't even come close to aggravating me as much as Fiera did. Number 3, the MMCs are so boring. They're so boring, y'all. Tamlin in book 1 supposed to be the beast and be the beast. You know, he's supposed to be super compelling or whatever. It's supposed to be like a captor thing. To me, he accomplished absolutely none of that. I thought he was so boring. He was completely a nod on the log to me. He kind of was not super present in book 1, in my opinion, which was really weird to me. And Beauty and the Beast and Disney, outdone him. I mean, ran right past him as far as like performance. I just can't even tell you how much more compelling the Beast was. Like, I know it's supposed to be Beauty and the Beast retelling, but that's actually a shame on Beauty and the Beast. And part of that was just because, like, as a kidnapper, like the kidnapping trope thing, like, I kind of like it. If I'm being honest, I kind of do. The way that it was done in this was so weird. Like, he had no possessiveness at all in book 1, and then he just totally flipped in book 2, by the way. But in book 1, like, he's just like, yeah, just do whatever you want. Like, he literally did not care about her, but he was insistent on taking her. And eventually it develops where he starts to care about her, obviously. But this whole just, like, leave and do whatever, it was just like, okay, it was very mid. I'm like, all right, we're not going to have no possession or anything. Like, that's typically what we have with the kidnapping. Tamlin credit, you know, he was willing to buy her paints. He was willing to do things to make her comfortable, you know, but she just has to be miserable though. So, you know, that wasn't good enough for, you know, Fiera. I thought overall Tamlin's whole development was just extremely weak, which I know now was on purpose. Because the whole point of Tamlin, like I said, SGM like has to put one like bad character next to a good, because it's like she don't know how to write complex characters. And he exists is just to make Rhysand look good for book 2. That's why he exists. That's why he was so mid, was because she wanted to uplift Rhysand, which I will say worked. Like, Rhysand is way better of an MMC than Tamlin is. But honestly, I feel like the only reason why Rhysand looks so good in these books is because everyone else sucks so much. And I still think Rhysand is actually pretty boring. I do. I know everybody goes crazy over Rhysand. And I get, you know, he has some cute moments. Like, some moments are cute, and I like his banter is cute. And Tamlin's like such a nod on the law that it makes him look like super entertaining. And at the end of the day, he's just another dark, broody male. There's really nothing special about him whatsoever. More special than like an Edward Cullen type, or like any other kind of dark, mysterious type. He's just like him. Like, it's literally so unspecial. I still think that makes it boring. He's better than Tamlin. Okay, but that bar is pretty much in hell. Let's just be real. The fake feminism, or the white feminism, as I would call it. So this very much felt like a book that was trying to read as like a feminist take because of Fiera being feminist, I guess. I would highly argue she is certainly not one. But I guess that's what she was going for, was like a strong female character. But it feels like it's written by an author who kind of wanted to have that, but then kind of didn't know. Like, it's like she couldn't make up her mind, because there would be parts of things that Farrah would say or do. It was like, I want to be an empowered, strong woman, and I don't want to depend on a man. But then, like, everything about the whole setup of the book and events of the book and what happens in the book is completely 100% dependent on men. like I don't know, like, it's just, I'm not saying obviously romance books, you know, they're gonna have men in them, but it was just very odd. It was like, she wants to say it's a female empowerment thing, but it's like totally not though. And nothing that happened to Farrah, no good thing or power she has, would have come without 7 men giving their life to keep her alive. You know what I mean? That's giving very weak. Oh, and let's talk about Rhysand, you know, and his man bun feminism in this book. So it definitely gave man bun like Ryan Reynolds from the Deadpool movie. If you've seen it, you know. Yeah, Rhysand was just, In this book, yes, was he again better than Tamlin? Tamlin was trying to tell her what to do all the time and become very possessive in this book randomly when he was totally not possessive at all in book one. Again, just a total plot hole in that way. But in this one, obviously Tamlin sucked so bad that anything could have made Rhysand look better. And basically he just gave her some minor level humanity. Yeah, that was his feminism. He was like, you know what, you have choices. And he kept talking about how she was his equal and she had choices. Congratulations. Wow, let's get a round of applause. Another human being had choices and is valued as an equal to someone else. Such a feminist take. Like, I don't know. It just, like, good, I guess. Like, again, good for him that he thinks that, but that's not special. That's just normal stuff. That's not some feminist take. It was like she wants to think it's that way, but then other things she writes is totally not that way. So that's just very confusing. I watched this other YouTube video. If I can find it, I'll like put up a picture or something, where she talks about how the popular romanticy books are like smut for conservatives, like it's conservative propaganda. And honestly, after reading these first two books, I completely agree. Yeah, because this stuff, it's a conservative's idea of what feminism is. That's what's in this. Number 5, the smut is garbage. So the smut, of course, has been such a hot topic, particularly with this book. This is the one that everyone's like, oh, it's so smutty. I had literally thousands of people on my TikTok. Okay, go follow me on TikTok. That's my biggest following over there. But they're like, oh, it gets so much better with the book 2. But 2 is where you're going to like it. But 2. No. No. Book 1, first of all, literally has nothing. It is like milk. There is just nothing there. I don't know where people got the idea that like book 1 was a smut book, because there's just nothing. There's literally, it's zero. But now book 2 definitely gets more spicy at the end, basically. It's egregious. Like trying to make it to the smut at the end is so freaking hard. Once you do get there, it's much better. Like, it's nice to actually see SJM like use body parts described as body parts. Like in previous, any just lightly smut scenes and earlier in the book, it's very just like flowery suggestive language of smut, but it's not super direct. When you get to the end, finally there's some direct language, which I'm like, thank God. And it takes 55 chapters really before there's any like direct, P&V type stuff going on. 55 chapters. That was miserable to read through, honestly. Most of them that were before, kind of the more lighter, kind of more light smut, were definitely seemed like she was just trying to rush through them. Like it was like she just wanted to suggest that it was happening and then move on with the plot. That's definitely how they felt. Chapter 55 was where it was like, oh, her intention with this chapter was smut, and it was definitely one of the stronger chapters. I'll give her that. Randomly got into a mate trope, which honestly, historically, I love. Y'all know I'm a huge Ice Pin Barbarians fan. Okay, so I thought, with a mating trope, when I heard the words said in this book, I was like, a mating trope? I didn't even know it was in here. It come up, I'm gonna be honest, it didn't hit the same. Like, I love the mating tropes with Ice Pin Barbarians. It didn't get me. It didn't get me. I think it's because I don't like Fiera that much. And Rhysand just didn't do it enough for me to just totally secure this whole mating bond situation. And also because it just wasn't set up from book 1. It was like kind of random, it felt like. Like I did in book 2. Oh, we're just going to introduce mating bonds all of a sudden. Like, like it just is like, okay. If the mating bond thing would have been set up from the beginning, maybe I would have liked it better. It just bothered me that it was just so random in book 2. Honestly, I'm just such a fan of Ice Pennant Barbarians, and I've seen the whole mating bond, mating ritual stuff done so well, because no one can match writing about the mating bonds more than Ruby Dixon. Okay, I've read so much about mating bonds that I know how it's done. Okay, let me tell you, SJM couldn't hold a candle to my girl Ruby Dixon. I'm sorry. There's no way. Once you read Ice Pennant Barbarians, nothing about mating bonds ever hit you the same. It was better than the first book because the first book gave nothing. So that's what I'm saying. It's like people say, oh, book 2 is so much better. And it's like, yeah, that's because book 1 was just so horrible. Like, I would give book 1 like, less than 1 stars. This one might get like 1 or 2. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, it's better than the first one. Congrats, I guess. Like, I don't know. It's just not, I just don't like these. They're not good. Think about them are good. I'm sorry. I don't like them. A lot of people get mad at me. A lot of people got mad at me on TikTok when I talked about it, but I don't care. I don't care. They're just not good. Fear is insufferable. Genuinely, I said this so many times. Get out of Fiera's head. Like, if even book one would have been dual, like POV, that would have systematically changed the book for me. Fiera ruined ACOTAR. I could have even dealt with the boring MMCs. They weren't really terrible as much as they were just boring and poorly written. Fiera ruined it for me.